Alright, and welcome to my restaurant, Gilby's Humble Cookie Shack. Today, we are going to be making chocolate chip cookies. At this restaurant, we promote magic, so I'm going to get my apron on really fast. Wow, I'm so magical. Now, we're going to be trying to get accepted into the state fair to beat Sweet Martha's cookies. Sweet Martha is one of the most iconic chocolate chip cookies in the world. So today, I'm going to be trying to beat them. I have this pin of the Minnesota State Fair just to prove that I am legit. Now, we're almost ready to start baking, but before we do that, let me explain the genius behind my recipe. I spent hours and hours to research the perfect recipe that would beat Sweet Martha's cookies. I am making this video so you too can make the perfect chocolate chip cookie recipe to beat Sweet Martha. This will help you in your life because baking is a very good way to make delicious food and desserts, and also it can help sustain your needs. Through my research, I came up with several recipes, and through trial and error, I came up with this recipe we're going to be baking today. These butter and eggs that we're going to be mixing have been staying out at room temperature. The reason for this is we need the butter and eggs to mix better together, and when the eggs are too cold, it sticks to the butter instead of mixing well with it. Most recipes don't do this, but it will make your cookies much more fluffy and soft. First, we're going to mix the sugars together. Our recipe calls for 7 ounces of white sugar, and we're using weights instead of measurements because it's more accurate. Baking is a science, so it's important to be precise with your weights. Next, we have brown sugar, which also calls for 7 ounces. Now mix those two sugars together. Now we're going to take our softened butter, and we're going to dump it into the bowl. Now, let's get mixing again. While you're mixing the butter, it might get stuck to the paddle, so we're just going to take some of that off. This is what it should look like when it's all mixed together. Now we're going to take our room temperature eggs and crack 2 of them and then put them in there. Your hands might get a little dirty if you have one hand, but that's okay. Now this gets even grosser because there's some eggshells in the bowl. Okay, now we're going to mix it for a little bit and then we'll add some vanilla. Now my recipe calls for 2 teaspoons of vanilla. So I'm going to have to do more magic because I only have one hand. So I'll be right back. Wow, I somehow got the vanilla in here. I definitely didn't have a magical assistant to help me out with that. It's also important to take dance breaks. So you can add your... Now we're taking 1 teaspoon of baking soda and dissolving it in hot water. Now we're getting half a teaspoon of salt. Now we're going to mix it for a little bit. Now we're adding 13.5 ounces of flour. Again, make sure you're getting precise weights. So let's start stirring. And now we're going to add the flour just slowly, little bits at a time. Okay, now we're adding our chocolate chips. We're going to do 2 cups of chocolate chips. Now we're going to be doing our final mixing. Now we have the cookie dough ready, so we're going to put it on the pan. If you're crippled like me, then you're probably just going to want to use one hand and then just roll it up a bit and just put it on. Now I'm going to use more magic and it's suddenly going to all appear done.
Start? I don't feel so good.
So it turns out when you Thanos snap, that actually gets rid of all your cookie dough, so make sure not to do that. Now, we're ready to put it into the oven. The oven's already preheated to 375 degrees, so we're going to put it in there for about 8 to 10 minutes. We decided to go for 1 more minute because the cookies didn't look ready. When you take your cookies out of the oven, make sure you watch out for megalodons that are trying to steal them. Now we're gonna wait for them to cool for 20 minutes. Alright, now we have our cookies completed. Now it's time to see if they're better than Sweet Martha's. Wow, that is absolutely amazing. These cookies are so fluffy and they melt in your mouth, and they're so greasy and they're absolutely not dog water. So I suggest that you guys should make these cookies as well. I think we succeeded in beating Sweet Martha's cookies. Next time, we're going for mini apple pie.
No feelings, I'll choke on the air I'm breathing. I'm done, I'm healing, ain't nobody stopping the bleeding.